Welcome back to New England Living. I'm Rachel Holt. Up next, we're heading to a unique studio in North Chelmsford to meet with woodworker and carver John Welch, founder and creator of John Francis Designs. We're here in your studio space in North Chelmsford. Describe your space for us and what goes on in here.
So right now, my main product are ravioli molds. I make molds with patterns to make patterned ravioli and gnocchi boards, different pattern gnocchi. That's primarily what I'm making. I do still make some sculptural decor, some small tables, things like that here and there when I have time, but my main product are pasta-related tools. I start out with a lot of patterns, a lot of sunburst designs, but I'm also very inspired by Art Nouveau and Art Deco. So I'll pick up a lot of inspiration from those. I have stacks of art books that I'll go through. One of my bigger sellers last year was a pumpkin mold, but I didn't want to go with a standard, just basic jack-o'-lantern type design. It was an Art Nouveau based pumpkin mold that had the vines were kind of an Art Nouveau pattern. It almost looked like a Cinderella's carriage type design, but I'll pull inspiration from a lot of art.
I'm envisioning lots of pasta dishes going on at your house.
Lots of pasta dishes, yes.
Okay, this sounds ideal.
Yeah.
What separates the work that you're doing in this studio?
Because I'm handcrafting everything, I've had to come to terms with imperfection and to embrace imperfection. I used to always strive for getting things as perfect as possible. I realized perfection is not possible, and that's what makes every piece unique. Every piece that goes out, I almost have to fight myself from throwing it in the trash because it might have a little chip in it, or the grain's a little off, or there's something that might not be perfect about it, but that's what makes it perfect, and that's what makes it handcrafted. That's what gives it the spirit that it has. In
that way, everything that's coming out of here is kind of one of a kind.
It is, yeah. They might look more or less the same, but they're not the same. They're all a little bit different from each other.
What has it been like incorporating your love of woodworking and food?
It's been inspirational in the sense that I'll have an idea for a dish that I want to make, and especially now that I'm making the ravioli molds, I'll design and make a mold based around a dish that I am trying to put together. So they kind of go hand in hand, and the cooking inspires the woodworking.
And these are not your average pasta dishes. How are you stepping up our ravioli game out there?
Part of it is you eat with your eyes first, right? So it's visually appealing. And then because I'm making a textured ravioli mold, those textures hold your sauce better. As a combination of you're making a consistent ravioli because you're using a mold, they're all the same size, they'll all cook the same way. And then because of that texture on there, it's really holding that sauce. So it's making a more efficient ravioli.
What is the beauty in handcrafting all of these objects?
One of the advantages of me handcrafting them is that from choosing the lumber to making the designs to carving the molds to packaging them up, I'm doing everything. So I'm able to maintain a very high standard of quality throughout the process.
Handcrafting things is almost becoming a lost art. What's the value in carrying on this tradition?
So especially for myself, the things that I'm making are generally being used in the kitchen. Somebody's cooking for their family, they're cooking for a loved one. So I'm personally making everything that I'm shipping out. So I'm putting a little bit of myself into that piece. And then they're taking that piece that I made, making dinner for people they care about, or gathering with people that they care about. And I feel like there's like a little bit of my soul that goes with it and gets added into their soul. And it's something that you're not going to get from a machine-made piece or from a mass-produced piece. Hopefully it's precious enough that it might wind up getting passed down to someone else in the family or something. It'll stand the test of time and be there for them.
And everything that's coming out of here literally gets your stamp of approval.
That's right. I actually have a John Francis Design brand that every part that goes out gets stamped on the back with John Francis Designs.
What are some of those collaborations you have going on now with really well-known chefs and food publications?
I've been collaborating with quite a few chefs out there. Last year I was in Food and Wine magazine, which was fantastic, and that opened up a lot of doors to me. And I've been collaborating with quite a few chefs that primarily are out on social media making their recipes and reels and videos and showing the world what you can do with my ravioli molds. I've worked quite a bit with Meryl Feinstein, she goes by Pasta Social Club online. She uses my molds quite a bit in her reels and her newsletters. I've worked with people all around the world, chefs specifically using my molds and developing recipes, and it's been really exciting and rewarding.
As a foodie yourself, this must be really cool for you to see all these people really enjoy your molds and your work.
It absolutely is. And like I had a moment when I was getting interviewed by Food and Wine where we were talking about like recipes that I make and what inspires me. And I had a second, I'm like, I'm a woodworker. I'm talking with Food and Wine magazine about recipes and cooking and comparing notes. And like, how did I get here? It was just a really surreal and amazing moment.
Setting aside your wood carving tools, putting on your chef hat, how does the pasta making work?
I brought some dough in with me today, some dough and some fillings, so we can head into my studio and we can test out some molds.
Let's do it. All this talk about pasta, I'm getting hungry here. And with that, John gathered his ingredients and his molds for a sneak peek into his ravioli testing process. How many different molds are we up to now?
I'm just shy of 50 different patterns.
You've been busy.
I've been busy.
And now for the fun part here, the pasta making. What's the first step here?
First step, we have pasta sheets that I've already rolled out. You can use store-bought pasta sheets, that works as well. Then we take our ravioli mold. We're gonna place a pasta sheet over the mold. I like to use a dry pastry brush to kind of push it down into the wells, make a little room for the filling. We have a 3-cheese filling here. Pipe a little bit into the mold.
That looks delicious already.
So we place a second sheet over the back. Use a rolling pin to push it down into the impressions. Going to flour it a little bit so it doesn't stick to our bench. What I like to do is give it an extra little press from the back. Make sure it's closed up. I'll trim the excess with a bench scraper. It makes 4 at a time, so let me separate them.
Wow. Yeah, this is unlike anything that I've ever made at home before. This is beautiful, work of art.
Thank you.